And thirdly, I would like to talk a little bit about organizational change in Chapter 8. Schools as open systems is the organizational model that I believe is the best suited and perhaps only model of a productive school organization possible in the current existing attack on public schools. The main difference between open systems theory and others is that OST recognizes the importance of working with the environment within which it is located. It also recognizes the stakeholder element within the school as well. This is a model that will help us weather the storms, if anything will. Trying to effect school change these days, even through open systems theory, will be difficult. As it says in the book, change can be a grieving process, especially if the change is not popular. Therefore, I recommend using Kurt Lewin's force field analysis model. This, I think, is a tremendously accurate model of the way that the world really works. Human beings tend to want a comfort zone. When they reach that comfort zone, they do not wish to move. It is their equilibrium. If an administrator wishes to make changes, first the employee's equilibrium must change. It is far better to do this positively than by threat, something that state governments obviously have not learned. So you need to attempt to make people willing to change their equilibrium, not forcing them to change. You do that by offering something better and by involving them in the choices. You therefore unfreeze them from their equilibrium. You then move them to a new equilibrium and refreeze them there. This is where empowerment and open systems theory helps. I find Lewin's model extremely useful and have used it myself. In fact, I'm going through it at this current time. In our department, we are being asked by the university to increase our productivity. And productivity is being defined in a sense that is not particularly helpful or positive, which of course is the way it is with most of you out in the schools. As department head, it is my responsibility to make those changes. So I'm applying Kurt Lewin's force field analysis model. I know what my department head faculty's equilibrium is. I know they don't want to make these changes. Nobody does. I don't. But the necessity is there. So I'm going to have to unfreeze their equilibrium externally, which is not the way to do it. That is, I'm going to have to apply force to their equilibrium changing rather than having it come from within themselves. And when doing this, the first few steps are very difficult. There has been a lot of arguing, of trying not to change, of avoiding the need to unfreeze. All very normal, all very human. But the point is that change is necessary, and so we're moving that way. And already my faculty, having realized that hanging on to the equilibrium they have had will not work, are already moving forward in meeting the new challenge. So we are in the process right now of the moving part of the model. And eventually, when we have worked at it for a while, and it will take a while, we will arrive at a new equilibrium. So this is an exact demonstration of the model itself, which is, I do believe, the most effective model to use when trying to sponsor educational and organizational change. So at this point, we will have our final discussion of the lesson. The question is, you have been hired as a principal with a charge to bring about school change. Using Lewin's force field analysis, what steps would you take to accomplish school change? What are common resistors to school change, and how do you overcome them?